Here at the gate. And they're off. Looked like number 4, I'll Call, kind of got squeezed back there at the start as Edisto Bay came out a bit. And that leaves Mr. Nofty with a free run on the lead. I'll Call now quickly moves up toward the inside. Edisto Bay is there. Indian Defense will be wide into the turn. After that, E-Biscuit and Incisive Strike. We have a horse down. Indian Defense has gone down here and has unseated the jockey. Jockey Eric Rodriguez is down on the turf course. And something terribly amiss here with number 6, Indian Defense. They're on the back stretch, and Mr. Nofty is in front by just over a length. I'll Call has now moved up to be a close second. Edisto Bay lays to the outside of the top pair, and is just a length and a half back racing third. About 5 more to Incisive Strike, and E-Biscuit has dropped out last. The half mile was 47-4 for Mr. Nofty, whose lead is down to about a half length. I'll Call is poised just 2 heads outside. Those two beginning to get away from Edisto Bay. Nothing from Incisive Strike. And then way back there is E-Biscuit. The one E-Biscuit has been pulled up. Pretty much a 2-horse race here as they come to the top of the stretch. Mr. Nofty the inside, I'll Call the outside. Those two come off the turn, and Mr. Nofty still holding on to the lead. I'll Call trying to get to him through this last furlong, but now Mr. Nofty has opened up a 2.5 length advantage. I'll Call begins to weaken. Edisto Bay trying to come on late toward the inside, but Mr. Nofty at even money, well clear as they hit the line. It's Mr. Nofty. Mr. Nofty wins almost 4 at the end. Edisto Bay got up second. After that, it's I'll Call and Incisive Strike. Numbers are 2, 3, 4. Nofty. He is a 3-year-old Scat Daddy colt. Now won 3 out of his last 4 starts. The Pennsylvania bred is owned by HnR Nofty Horse Racing. Trained by Keith Nation. 3rd winner today, a triple for Paco Lopez. 1:70 on the turf, 1 minute 43 and 3/5 seconds. Race 10 prices. Winner number 2, Mr. Nofty, pays $420, $320, and $240. Number 4, I'll Call, kind of got squeezed back there at the start as Edisto Bay came out a bit. And that leaves Mr. Nofty with a free run on the lead. I'll Call now quickly moves up toward the inside. Edisto Bay is there. Indian Defense will be wide into the turn. After that, E-Biscuit and Incisive Strike. We have a horse down. Indian Defense has gone down here and has unseated the jockey. Jockey Eric Rodriguez is down on the turf course. And something terribly amiss here with number 6, Indian Defense. For Mr. Nofty, whose lead is down to about a half length. I'll Call is poised just 2 heads outside. Those two beginning to get away from Edisto Bay. Nothing from Incisive Strike. And then way back there is E-Biscuit. The one E-Biscuit has been pulled up. So pretty much a 2-horse race here as they come to the top of the stretch. Mr. Nofty the inside, I'll Call the outside. Those two come off the turn, and Mr. Nofty still holding on to the lead. I'll Call trying to get to him through this last furlong, but now Mr. Nofty has opened up a 2.5 length advantage. I'll Call begins to weaken. Edisto Bay trying to come on late toward the inside, but Mr. Nofty at even money, well clear as they hit the line. It's Mr. Nofty. Mr. Nofty wins almost 4 at the end. Edisto Bay got up second. After that, it's I'll Call and Incisive Strike. a two-horse race here as they come to the top of the stretch. Mr. Nofty the inside, I'll call the outside. Those two come off the turn, and Mr. Nofty still holding on to the lead. I'll call trying to get to and through this last furlong, but now Mr. Nofty has opened up a 2.5 length advantage. I'll call begins to weaken. Edisto Bay trying to come on late toward the inside, but Mr. Nofty at even money, well clear as they hit the line. It's Mr. Nofty. Mr. Nofty wins almost 4 at the end. Edisto Bay got up second. After that, it's I'll Call and Incisive Strike.